spooky style.
Have you ever explored the depths of fear? Have you ever wondered what depravity dwells within the imagination of a storyteller that prompts them to exhume horrors untold and expose those horrors to unsuspecting audiences? Some are repulsed, and some are shaken. However, there are those who are invigorated. So to those demented souls, we invite you to journey inward into the dark bowels of human imagination. Press play, and you will discover what's in the podcast.
I'm having visions.
The body of Dr. Florence Weaver was found brutally murdered in her home this morning.
Did you know her? No, but I saw her die. I'm seeing murders as they're happening. He says his name is Gabriel. I think he's someone from my past.
Whatever happened to you before you joined our family hurt you in a way that I can't even imagine.
Stop saying that.
Is he your imaginary friend? Imaginary?
He's the devil.
Who are you, Gabriel?
And welcome back to another edition of What's in the Podcast, Discomfort Flicks 2024. We are back again to talk about the films we love regardless of box office receipts and critical acclaim or even audience acclaim. Previously, we just finished talking about the wonderful train wreck that is Spookies, but today we're talking about a film that I think for us, I think it's safe to argue that this is one of the ones that kind of defined our love of horror during quarantine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Especially a film that I am actually very happy to this day is still very divisive, and also to the kind of hilarious extent to which it is.
I just blame the history of the creator's past popular works giving a false, like, I mean, it's hard to explain, but like, not where he started, but like that middle point, all of his successful works were of a certain style. People expected that style, but didn't know it was going back to the original thing he was doing, that craziness.
Even then, to the man's credit, this is a level of craziness that even he hadn't really done yet.
Oh, no, you know he was... Well, he said, I made this for horror fans. He didn't make this for those average people who saw his other movies. He's like, no, man, I'm going for the good people.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie that... When I even got wind of the kind of ingredients that were in this movie, I was immediately intrigued and casually watched it on my own. And pretty much as soon as I watched it, my mind went absolutely nuts. It is my #1 horror film of 2021, but I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but I don't give a fuck, and I know inevitably you did not either.
No, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, so much so that we have this beauty right here. As you can kind of guess, the movie in question we are talking about today is Malignant.
It's coming from me.
Yes, directed by James Wan. It came out in 2021, and we fucking love the shit out of this movie. Oh, yeah. So to now, before we proceed, because yeah, I'm going to admit the twist is kind of everything about this one. So
yeah. I mean, you can talk about how amazingly it's shot, how it's very tongue-in-cheek with the acting, like everything's over-dramatic, and you can, you know, it's of course a whodunit, you trying to figure out what's going on, it's a big mystery, but when you get the twist, like either you're on board or you're like, this is total bullshit, and this, like, you know, but I feel like, personally, the tone of the opening sequence is the best depiction of what you're going to get later.
Exactly. So with that, a major spoiler warning is in effect. We are going to tell you everything. So to my recollection, this is still currently streaming on Max. I know the Blu-ray is still out, still available, has some lovely content on there. But we are going to get heavy and in-depth with this sucker. So as I said before, I was just keeping up with whatever was coming out that year, and Malignant was one of them. Didn't get a chance to see it in the theater, but when one of our trusted internet critics made an association to one of my top guys, Frank Henenlotter, the second he threw that into the mix, I was like, what? At the second you say Henenlotter, I'm immediately intrigued, so I jumped on it, and as the movie kicks off, I'm going, okay, you know. Yeah, and we had seen The Conjuring by that time, and we had seen Insidious.
Yeah, we've seen them.
So we weren't strangers to James Wan. We just weren't expert on James Wan, but we did like, okay, got some good scares, good visual concepts, good camera work. Then we get to that. Then I got to the twist. Well, throughout the entire movie, I was going, "Where's the Henenlotter? Where's the Henenlotter? Where is it?" Then
you get to it.
You get to it, and I'm like, "There's the Henenlotter, bitch!" And then it didn't occur to me to realize that this movie was the basket case remake I didn't know I wanted.
Pretty much.
Yeah, precisely. Again, we're being gingerly.
Which is kind of what made me know the twist was coming, because of two things. One, I had heard Henenlotter, and when I was watching the movie, I noticed similarities to plot beats from a Henenlotter movie. Not like copying, but like...
I just said basket case.
Yeah, basket case.
Yeah.
Just similarities. And the other movie that actually gave me... Well, actually, it was two things outside of that. The opening, you get this very weird, through a like plastic curtain or something, view of something. And in my head, I went, yo, that looks like that thing from In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Which... If you know that movie, there's a sequence where Sutter Kane, the author, has something on his back. I'm like, that looked kind of like that. And then, of course, as the movie's going, I'm starting to study the villain's outfit. Because that's me, I'm just going to do that. And I noticed the villain moving backwards a lot. So by that point, my brain just clicked together and I went, I know the twist. And I openly said it in my head right before they revealed it.
Yeah.
I was very proud of myself on that. Not as good as my call on the baby. That one I was way...
Oh, the
I was
baby.
so proud of my call on the twist for the baby. But this was a different second.
Comment section if you want us to
don't
tackle the baby at some point.
That movie was painful to watch, but the twist...
It was amazing to watch. What are you talking about?
The twist was worse.
That movie's twisted as fuck, and I love
twisted,
it.
But I was so proud of myself on calling it. And I did it right before they revealed it.
Right before the reveal.
I was like,
good.
hey, maybe this. And he goes...
Hey, you bring up the baby. I'm going to immediately want to talk about the baby. But no.
Anyway, Malignant.
Malignant, yes. Directed by James Wan. Based on an idea by Ingrid Bisu. And actually written by Akilah Cooper, who only a year or two later... Actually, 2 years later we would get Megan from her, and fantastic writer, and
honestly, you can kind of see this. You know how Megan is camp, like Malignant is camp too. It's the same kind of camp, which I think is weird that Megan, everybody loves it for the weird tone, but then Malignant has that same weird tone, but it's not as loved for it.
I think going back to what you were saying about how people have expectations about certain directors.
Maybe they finally got over that?
No, I think it's because Gerard Johnstone, who directed Megan, his prior hit was also a horror comedy.
What was it?
Housebound.
Okay.
Yeah, which was also a horror comedy.
Or maybe because Megan, like, they promoted the silly dance and everything, so you kind of knew the weird tone, whereas Malignant was very weirdly, I would say badly, but at the same time you can't give away the twist, so people didn't know what tone they were getting in that one, whereas it very much looked like it was going to be Conjuring, Insidious, blah blah blah.
Exactly, people were of that mindset. Yeah, and all the ads were all focusing heavily on this being something of a paranormal thriller with a lot of very intriguing images, especially the image of Annabelle Wallis surrounded by a melting room that was turning into another room.
Yeah,
I mean,
it gave off the paranormal when this is absolutely not paranormal. This is body horror science, I guess.
Body horror high camp with a very heavy helping of giallo thrown in.
Yeah, there's a lot of giallo.
A lot of giallo thrown in. So we beat around the bush long enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give us a full-blown synopsis.
With
spoiler
okay.
Of Malignant.
This is the story of a woman who, she's in a shitty relationship. She's pregnant. She ends up getting physically abused by her husband and smashes her head into a wall. Unfortunately, that action wakes up her twin brother, who was surgically removed from her when she was a child. However, not all of him was removed. A lot of him was stuffed back into her head. He wakes up and wants to take out all the doctors who removed him or just he didn't like. So he is literally a face on the back of her head. We're going like full Voldemort style, except cooler.
And minus the transphobia. Yeah.
See, Gabriel has no problems with a woman's body. I mean, he seems
clearly not.
But he's basically piloting her backwards to fight. He has enhanced strength, agility.
Can control anything electric.
Yeah, he speaks through electric currents. We don't know where that came from. He also, because he shares the brain with his sister, he can kind of convince her to see something else. So when she's having visions, she doesn't realize it's really just him taking over. And of course, you have to defeat him because he is absolutely psychotic. And there you go.
And kind of resentful that the idea that his existence as being
he
what's the word?
Always sociopathic, though. He was always nasty.
Kind of. Well,
he always was the angry. Like with Basket Case, Belial probably was actually nice. He was kind, and then he was ripped off and thrown in the garbage can. Gabriel was nasty from the beginning. He was openly trying to kill people. So he is like sociopathic from the beginning and is an actual problem. So removing him was kind of, you needed to do it.
Yeah.
Belial was more of a, that's cruel to do. Gabriel was like a sociopath from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was born sociopath.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by what the kind of physics of Gabriel before they cut off his little arms and stuff like that.
I feel like he wasn't as in control. Like he was more separated, like a little bit. But then they like, basically, he has like little wiggle arms and like he has a rib cage. He's literally sticking out of her back. They remove that. They remove most of his face, and then they literally stuff him. They tuck him back into her skull. It's so fucking horrible. So I can see why he's pissed, but like, he's literally throwing people across rooms, breaking arms, like killing people before they even decide to cut him out. So he's just a nasty little bitch. He's an asshole too. He's a complete dick. And I mean, so the biggest bitch move he does, it's my favorite in the whole, it's probably my favorite moment in the whole movie, is when he of course, eventually they find this woman he kidnaps and holds in this hidden place. It turns out it's her attic because it's her body, her place. Yeah. It turns out that's their birth mom. So Madison gets arrested because they're like, well, you kidnapped her. You're the one who's killing these people. She gets put into a holding cell. Gabriel wakes up, decides to throw down because he's in the mood. Gets out of the jail cell, gets his clothes back because he loves his little coat and his little... He loves his thing.
Bitchin' ass coat.
There is a huge sequence where he is taking out all these cops, just mowing through them, and you have like the lead detectives and all. He at one point across the room, this is my favorite bit, he grabs a chair, swings it around, and just chucks it at him when they're trying to run out the door.
Clean across the room. Across the room, and Lance perfectly knocks out 2 people.
And he's doing it because they're trying to get away. He's doing it to be a bitch.
Oh yeah.
It's a bitch move, but it's so funny after he's literally slaughtered all these cops.
In glorious
fashion.
Glorious
it's so
fashion.
Well done. And then the 2 main cops, the detectives, are trying to get away, and he just literally chucks it just to be a bitch.
And in camera, man, just like a beautiful panning shot, tracking the
following this giant chair as it slams into him, and it's really he does it literally just to be an asshole because he leaves at that point, so he doesn't go check to make sure they're dead or anything. It's such a bitch move. I always love it though, because it kind of shows that Gabriel's a bitch.
Oh yeah,
he's a salty little bitch.
Now the great thing about this big reveal is that everyone was convinced that this movie was a killer imaginary friend movie.
Yeah, some kind of spirit.
Because the way the movie is being built up, it's built up like, and there have been other horror-themed movies about your imaginary friend. A great example is Daniel Isn't Real. Recently we had Imaginary. So the idea,
Drop Dead Fred.
If you want to call that a horror film,
but you get what I mean.
We get what I mean.
An imaginary friend making you or it do something.
Yeah, so that could be credible in its own right, and it's writing on that.
It does.
Until we get to, I suppose we could like work our way backwards, but what's great is that the reveal is so gradual but yet so well done, where now one major aspect of this movie is that Madison, our main character played by Annabelle Wallis, one thing, and this is a cool thing they do, is the fact that her character is adopted, and she is aware she's adopted. They don't pull the bullshit of her not knowing that she's adopted. Yeah. She knows it from the get-go. But it's kind of cool how they do that. They do the truth bomb. Reverse. Yeah, they do the reverse truth bomb, where instead of her being surprised about being adopted, it's to her sister Sydney, who didn't know that she was adopted. And even better,
it's kind of funny because it's like, I'm adopted. Like, the adopted person's telling the other person.
And the stepsister didn't know.
Yeah, she's like, what? And I'm like...
And I even love how major plot revelations are punctuated with these amazing stings of Safari Riot's incredible cover of the Pixies' Where's My Mind.
Which,
and if you know that song...
Gabriel's in her mind.
Yeah, perfect song, and I will say Safari Riot's rendition of the song is amazing.
Oh yeah, no,
but so Sydney is, I got to add, Sydney, her stepsister, is a great freaking character.
Oh yeah, no, she's one of those go-getters, goes for the information, backing up her sister.
Yeah,
having the hots for the detective. That's always cute.
Yeah,
that was kind of cute.
Not gonna lie, Kakoa Shaw is
this dude chased down Gabriel at one point
on foot,
and it's impressive. Like, it's one of those. It kind of so I hate to refer to this, but it kind of reminded me of Men in Black when...
get out of my brain.
Yeah, when...
Pun intended.
Jay. Sorry. I haven't seen it in a while. Jay chases down the whatever...
Cephalopoid.
And that impressed the Men in Black, where he's chased down this alien, Well, Kakoa actually chases down Gabriel. Gabriel is doing some parkour crazy moves, and this guy keeps up for a good amount of time, and I'm like, damn, dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he takes a beating too.
It takes a hell of a beating. I mean, but he follows Gabriel all the way down the side of a building into the... Now, I didn't know this, but apparently this is true, that Seattle does have an Undercity.
Yeah.
And I think they actually did film this in Seattle so they could use that. I think it was one of those times where they wrote...
I think some of those scenes in the Undercity were real, like, on locations. Because, I mean, James Wan's going to want authenticity. So.
Yeah. So, the cool thing... But going back to Sydney, she goes on this little path of research with the help of their stepmother to try to find out the truth about Gabriel, because at this point all they think is that Gabriel is her imaginary friend who is manifesting again and is causing... Maddie to lose her shit.
They don't have any information about Maddie before she was adopted. All they know is, her mother died at childbirth. They don't know anything. They do, however, have tapes showing that there was this imaginary person called Gabriel that she would talk to. She'd talk on a child, kind of like Poltergeist 2 on the little kid phone. And there were moments where she did weird things and would blame Gabriel. So they're aware of the name, they're aware of this concept. So Sydney goes to the place where... To
the asylum where she originally came from.
It wasn't an asylum.
Yeah, it was.
It was an asylum?
It was an asylum, yeah.
Medical asylum.
Yeah, some kind of hospital.
Place looked like Arkham Asylum.
Well, actually, it's like Arkham Asylum had a baby with the House on Haunted Hill from the remake.
Yeah, it's a little... intense looking.
Yeah, and I love they have a great build up where they make it out like there's something bad's gonna happen in this asylum.
You know how they do the dark hallways and you think something's gonna pop out, or
you hear noise and you think it's gonna be a case where Gabriel is gonna come out and get her.
He's following her or something like that. Because at this time you do not know what Gabriel is.
You still don't know.
Think he's an entity or. So you follow Sydney into this very creepy place. Like, this place is super creepy. She looks around. She finds a box. Madison's files in it. She takes it home. There's nothing that happens. And she finds the stuff, that's all.
And by wonderful, happy coincidence, her mom still has her VHS and it still works. Her VCR and it still works.
She had those home videos.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
You know, they're going to keep that for that shit.
Yeah, and that's where we get the reveal of the big twist. And as a fun side bit of trivia, young Madison is played by McKenna Grace, who Ghostbusters fans will know from the recent Ghostbusters films as Phoebe. Then again, she's freaking everywhere. I mean, she
plays young everything.
Yeah, she was young Captain Marvel. She was
young Ray.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, in Force Awakens, where you see the little itty bitty Ray.
Oh my god,
remember that movie is 10 years old.
9 years, please.
9 years.
Please say 9. As of recording, it's 9 years.
A lot older than we think. But they filmed it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So she was The little itty bitty who's screaming as the ship. Mama, yeah, that's her.
Wow.
Everyone, because when she played Captain Marvel, everyone kind of thought that was funny that Little Ray is playing Marvel as well.
Yeah, and now she's and then she of course was in The Haunting of Hill House, so she's been everywhere. But this is we've always kind of jokingly said, like, you know, if she ever shows up at another con, you have to. Let's actually, for a fun little aside, after I saw this movie and just went so madly crazy, I was like going to you going, you're gonna want to cosplay this.
You said you're gonna want to cosplay the villain. So I'm watching it, trying to figure out what the hell you mean, because the villain's so far an entity until you get, I think, to the first kill where
the first time you see the body of Gabriel.
Well, once you see the physical body, you see the coat and the hair. I was like, okay, that coat's badass, so cool. And then when it got to the full reveal, I was like, this will be a challenge.
Oh yeah.
Which the next day I went to Walmart, bought fabric that worked, because it's very clearly a real leather coat.
Very worn leather.
Yeah. And so I was like trying to figure out how am I going to put a face in the back of a wig, and I ended up buying like a $7 cheap nasty mask from like Walmart's rubber, and I cut it apart. I bought like fake eyes on Amazon, and like literally just with fabric paint and toilet paper created a face and put it in a wig.
Looked amazing.
I mean, for a first attempt with very little references, I think I did a good job.
Hey, you know what, freaking Robert Kurtzman,
he liked it.
Yeah, Robert Kurtzman. The K from K and BFF.
From behind. That's also the downside of the costume, is everyone will recognize it from behind. So people will say something behind you and you don't hear them. But I remember Robert Kurtzman passed by me and went, "Hey, Gabriel," and then I later met him wearing it. So.
Yeah, photo for the people watching the video version, right there. Amazing moment. To illustrate your love of how rapidly you fell in love with this, I mean, that you made this costume within a couple of weeks.
Oh, it was also during my slump where I just wasn't making anything anymore, because this was 2021, so you had all 2020. I got burned out on making things and not using them, so I just kind of went MIA on making stuff, and this was like one of the first big things I had made. Yeah, it actually wore out. I've worn it a few times. So.
Exactly, and honestly, it always, as far as I've always seen, it always gets a response every time you wear it.
It's niche, so not everyone recognizes it. It also is not as impressive from the front. Again, it's the back that looks good. The last time I wore it, I did get a lot of response from like the people working the event. Not so much people at it, but again, it's one of those you have to see it from behind to get it. It's also, again, niche. A lot of people did not see Malignant.
Yeah, well, though I think my favorite moment also. Well, you put it together primarily for Spooky Empire.
Yeah.
And this guy just came to you and like just was over the moon because he obviously saw the movie and loved the movie.
Yeah, we were sitting just chilling, and this guy comes up to me and is like, "Oh no, you should enter the costume contest." And I was like, I don't have references. Literally threw I'm not making this for any contest. And he's like, "No, you really should." I'm like, I got nothing to do. Sure. Turns out that was one of the judges.
One of the judges.
I did not win anything.
You did?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't win anything. Keep in mind, the people entering these are really freaking good, and I respect that. However, the judges had me go back on stage to commend me for making this costume so quickly after the release with so little like references, but still doing a good job. So while I didn't win anything, I got appreciation for it, and that was good for me.
And that's a judge's award to me. Yeah, I'm sorry, but when a judge calls you out, and
I've never had that happen before. Like, if I've not officially won something, I've never been called back on stage for anything good. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was the very first time, especially with our love of horror like really kind of blossoming at that point. I think for you, as far as I felt that was the time you really like went crazy for something of horror that it made you want to put together a cosplay like that quickly.
That would be one of the first. Yeah, I mean, I've done stuff since, but that was also a fun challenge because, again, I had to put a face in the back of the wig. And since then, I've upgraded it. Someone made a really cool mask, and Gabriel that's much better looking than what I did. And I put that into the wig, so it's had upgrades since. But
and the blade that we got, which I commissioned from Mad Props Armory on Instagram. Check him out. He's actually a really cool guy. So that's just, we had to pimp him out. He's too good.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorites.
I think it was also another one that just made me realize how, when it comes to horror, if you have a filmmaker, especially one like James Wan, who by this point has earned so much clout, and I got to give it, when a filmmaker earns so much clout that the studio says, you want to make your weird, fucked up, giallo, Henenlotter hybrid movie, here's $50 million, go nuts.
40.
It was only 40?
Only 40.
Oh, okay, I heard 50. Okay, well, okay, cool. But either way, here's 40 mil, go for it. And that's a kind of a testament to James Wan. And because, yeah, think about it. He's the only, director of horror who has multiple ongoing franchises.
He's created so many franchises, and it's
only been 20 years, too. Think about that.
Yeah, in only 20 years, he's created... And the thing is, these are big franchises. Successful big franchises. I mean, even with some are better than others. Like, they're also kind of different. Like, you have Saw.
Yeah. Which
is now iconic. Like, that is literally one of the biggest horror franchises of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Conjuring universe. That's a freaking universe. Like, not all the movies of the Conjuring. You have
a franchise that spawned it's a franchise. Yeah,
you got whatever the hell else is.
Yeah, a franchise that spawned franchises.
And then you have the Insidious, which apparently has the best haunted house at Horror Nights apparently ever, because I mean,
and a bitchin' ghost cover with Patrick Wilson singing it.
I mean, just use what they can.
Yeah, use what they can.
I mean, like, that's kind of impressive, because the only other person I think who had that to a degree would be Wes Craven.
Yeah, he's the only other...
Like, the only one I can really think of that had franchises. I mean, Carpenter had individual movies outside of Halloween, but individual movies are fantastic. But when you talk about, like, franchises, James Wan, even then, saw 10 of them, plus a spin-off.
Mm-hmm.
Insidious 3?
6.
6?
Actually, well, 5 technically, but there will be, but a 6th one was announced.
Dude, I'm behind on that.
Yeah, we were way behind on.
I don't know, it's like 7, 8 different movies in that universe. 3 Conjurings.
3 Conjurings, and I think
2 Annabelles.
Yeah,
2 nuns.
2 Annabelles, 2 nuns.
La
Llorona, and
was there another one?
I don't know. Either way, point being, the fact that but that's the idea. The whole point is that the way James Wan is able to make a movie like *Malignant* is by the virtue of the fact, and now he's actually working.
I want that to be in the Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
Why not? Just slip it in there.
Slip it in there. But now think about it. And now with Megan, like having produced Megan under his belt, but now he's in collaboration with Blumhouse. That's how impressive this man is. And that is how he's able to get away with getting full control to make a movie like *Malignant* and make the movie his way. I guarantee there were no
studio notes.
Well, if there were, he probably threw them out, and I guarantee there was no focus groups on this shit.
No, the only issue I would say is the studios did not know how to market the movie.
No,
at all. But I don't think that's his handle. Like, marketing and trailers are usually done by the studios, not so much.
Well, it's kind of the same. One could even say it's kind of a similar problem to when Abigail came out, and how everyone said, well, it's that idea. It's kind of a flip side, actually, where Abigail, many people said, they would have,
wanted it to be a fun reveal
that Abigail was a vampire, but unfortunately, without that, you're not able to. That's the hook of the movie, unfortunately. That's the thing that intrigues people.
And the thing is, you can't rely on the audiences to understand what if they had not shown Abigail being a vampire in that film, I still would know there's something. Because I know they did Ready or Not.
Yeah.
And Scream too. So I know there would be something.
Yeah.
Would I think vampires? No. But I would know there was something. The average person, you cannot... again, they thought James Wan was going to just do another Conjuring or another Insidious. They didn't think, this is the guy who did Saw.
Yeah.
And revolutionized horror in 2004?
Yeah. It's like...
04, yeah.
He made one of the few, base level enjoyable DC Snyderverse movies. It's Tiger Sharks the movie. That's fine.
It's fine.
But point being, James Wan's the kind of guy who, if he wants to go, it has an octopus doing on the drums. Okay,
Little Mermaid did that first.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, but we would have expected it in Little Mermaid. We didn't expect it in fucking Aquaman.
I probably would have.
Well, if Aquaman came out after *Malignant*, I would have said yes. I would have expected it.
It makes sense in my head. If there's fish people, why not?
Yeah, but
but I would say instead of an octopus, should be a squid. Then you could have 12 drums. Because they have more tentacles.
Yeah, there we go. More you know.
saying.
More you know. But the levels of bonkers that are alluded to in Aquaman come forth big time in Malignant. I mean, and there's nice little hints, even just throughout, of the fanciful nature of it. Now, I got to give love to the filmmaking technique on this one, especially on the giallo side, because by this point we were also getting hard into that.
Yeah.
With I mean, we had already seen Suspiria, which we had loved, but we had watched Deep Red, and we watched Tenebrae. Tenebrae in particular, I would say, was a major influence on this by virtue of the camera work.
Yeah, I would definitely say the camera work in Malignant was definitely next level compared to any film at all. Like, not only just the overhead shot, which is just for one sequence of her running around the house, which could have been done your standard way.
Yeah.
They're like, no, let's have it be above, like a dollhouse, and follow her across the rooms. Or the whole battle of Gabriel versus the cops. That entire thing was done with the RoboCam.
Yeah, actually, I've got the name for some of these.
It's kind of like a camera on an arm that you program, but you have to follow everything perfectly.
Yeah, in the overhead shot, it was done with something called the Spider Cam, which was basically an aerial camera rig, which was just a special rig set up above the set of the house, because that entire house was a set. And it was properly primed and choreographed. They rehearsed the shot and programmed the path that camera was meant to go on to follow Annabelle Wallace as she went through the house. And then you have the police station onslaught. That was done with a RoboCam, which was kind of like those Kuka arms, which the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey ride uses.
It's on a track and it does this, follows it, but you have to choreograph everything, because you have the stunt guy, you have all the stunts, and he was wearing the mocap type suit, because obviously you can't do the
got to make
costume.
You
You gotta be safe on that. But all of it was in camera. All the motion was in camera, and the person all they had to animate was just the costume on the guy.
Yeah.
And change his face into Gabriel and Madison. Which, that was the thing, is a lot of the sequences with Gabriel were live. They built a rig that they put on the back of her head that had a face. And I mean, outside of digital manipulation, that actually was there. They used contortionists, two different contortionists, to be Gabriel whenever he was moving around. So it was all very natural and insanely creepy, because it was not CG. The only times they CG'd the entire body was during the fire escape, because literally Gabriel's like falling and catching with one hand, and it's stuff that's a little... you can't really do with a person. Yeah. I think that's like one of the few times they actually CGI'd the entire character. Yeah. Otherwise, it was always an actor playing. I
will say, though, CGI is so good that I actually thought... I mean, because I've seen...
I mean, with like wires or something?
Yeah, I was about to say, I've seen times where they do wire work falling from level to level.
Yeah, I think that was one of the few times they actually animated the entire body, but it's so smooth and you don't notice it.
Yeah.
It's just wild that a lot of the other sequences that you would think would be animated or CGI... No, that's a person. That's a contortionist. That's a professional.
Two contortionists. One was done specifically for Matt, to be contortionist with Maddie.
One is a man and one is a woman.
Yeah, one's a man. One, Troy James and Marina Mazepa. They were the contortionists who did the work. Giving love to them, because contortionists, that is an art form which takes a lot of time, discipline, and practice in order to be able to be damn good at your job. And those people are damn good at their job to not just employ being a contortionist, but to be able to do it in appliance to a fight scene.
And speaking of stunt people, and there's also a wonderful stunt lady that gets an appearance in a very gruesome death. Zoe Bell makes an appearance as Scorpion? Yeah,
Scorpion. And for those who are unaware, Zoe Bell is one of Tarantino's top stunt people. In fact, her first big breakout was when she doubled for Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. And Tarantino loved her, working with her so much that when they did Death Proof, he just flat out wrote her, not even her playing a character, just her, into the script of Death Proof, and put her front and center, and that catapulted her after that. But even before Kill Bill, she was Lucy Lawless's main stunt woman on Xena. Before that, but then afterwards, she's been in all of Tarantino's other films, and
even as just an actress.
Yeah,
he'll cast her in.
Yeah, she
herself.
Even had a great little bit in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well. But here she is playing a trailer trash prisoner.
She's just a nasty woman in prison, and you don't want to mess with her. And of course, she's like, "Oh, fresh meat," and Gabriel don't like that too much.
No, he don't. No, he don't.
He does not like anybody looking at him.
And I think the brilliant thing about the movie overall, in terms of the way it's orchestrated, is that because the movie is lulling you into that security, thinking that this is going to be a ghost movie, or think it's going to be something paranormal, you're thinking that it's going to be a slow burn or something like that. The second that goddamn reveal happens, the movie goes into fucking overdrive.
They just take it from 5 to 11 instantly, and they don't let off.
Yeah, because then
they keep going.
Yeah, because then Annabelle Walls, bless her, is going hardcore with the screaming.
The reveal happens while Madison is in the jail cell. So that when they see the reveal and, oh crap, he's on her right now, you're like, oh shit, everybody in that jail cell gonna die. And it's brilliant. Practical effects.
Practical, blood, gorgeous.
And Gabriel is just relentless. He's also, they don't explain how, but he makes her stronger, so he can do stuff like ripping, like shoving his whole hand through a body and ripping out their heart. Like, he can do insane things. And it's just ridiculous. It gets so ridiculous, you're just entertained by the ridiculousness.
And of course, Gabriel has to do it in uniform, so goes into the evidence room, grabs the. Gotta have that coat. Gotta have the blade.
He's particular. He likes this coat that he found.
Yeah,
and his weapon.
Though I will say this: the weapon is made with love.
No, he made that. He knows how.
Yeah, though actually, I even like that there's a backstory to the weapon too. The blade is actually fashioned from a obviously metal trophy from the main doctor who did the surgery on him originally. So he steals the trophy and fashions it into this badass blade. And I mean, the thing is pretty damn effective, and obviously fashioned it sharp enough to slice off limbs.
You actually, it wasn't originally. You actually see him like sharpening it.
Yeah.
So, and he creates like. He makes it nice and comfy for himself. It's kind of
amazing.
No,
you put that in your hand. Yeah, that thing has a great solid grip.
Well, it has like he sharpens it, and he also puts like a grip in it so he can hold on to it easily. Like he made this thing special.
It's just kind of awesome that James Wan set out to make a film that just was a big old cake of everything he loves in horror, but in turn was hell-bent to make a new icon of horror. And it just drives me crazy that, as much as I love the divisive nature of this film, it pains me that the movie didn't take off in such a way that Gabriel didn't become.
People are so weird. Like, they say, I want original stuff, but then they won't give original stuff a chance or get pissy about it because it doesn't meet their weird expectations. They're based on stuff that's sequels or been established for a while.
And then it's so weird when all of a sudden they turn around and go like, oh, and then they actually go to the one original thing. It's such a freaking crapshoot. You can't predict it. I mean,
especially with horror.
Especially with horror. I mean, I will say I was very happy that this year that Longlegs did it extremely well.
Thank God.
But then so many other great horror films did not. The first Omen didn't do well.
Annabelle. Oh, not Annabelle. Abigail.
Abigail did not do well.
Lisa Frankenstein didn't
do well. Though,
how's The Substance doing?
We'll save that for later. Save it for later because I do want to talk about my recommendations. But that's a hint, people. But basically, it's such a weird crapshoot of what people want nowadays in terms of.
I'm just kind of over Hollywood's not original. I want original stuff. You're not supporting any original stuff. You are being a bitch.
Well, and beyond that, it is out there. You just gotta seek it out. And
there's more original stuff than there are sequels or remakes.
Yeah.
Holistically, just look at like every movie that comes out. We'll include streaming because that's fair.
Yeah.
You will see more original things, and you're not supporting any of it. You're just bitching about the temples, which they're going to promote those first because those will cost more.
Yeah.
So they want the original stuff tends to be cheaper. So they don't. That's why Blumhouse, as much as people want trash on them for making mediocre films, those films cost like $5 million.
Yeah.
So they're going to make their money back. That's how they figured it out. They figured out that formula, and you know what? It allows people to do original stuff, whether it works or not. And you get people like Jordan Peele, who makes Get Out for $5 million, and boom.
Yeah.
He's now
golden, that dude. That dude's
he
golden.
He can do whatever he wants.
He can make giant space flying jellyfish in the air in the desert, and make it for like $100 million on IMAX, and
we'll watch it.
And we will watch it.
It's also an original film.
Well, and I think a lot of that may be because they're a brand. And actually, I think here might be my theory. like as we've said before, because James Wan kind of put himself in a position with the Conjuring movies where people thought that this is the James Wan that we should expect. I think a lot of people went in under the impression
with this brand on him, forgetting that he's
done other things. I mean, hell, he also did Dead Silence, but even then, that's kind of a ghost movie too, in the guise of a ventriloquist dummy.
The funny thing is, I always knew James Wan more for Saw.
Yeah.
I always use the guy who created Saw. So I think insane, because as much I haven't actually watched all the Saw movies because I can't handle the gore side.
I can always tell you to close your eyes for those.
Yeah, I know. I could probably be like covering,
And even,
I feel like a wuss if I'm covering my eyes.
But even then, I actually am optimistic. You've seen, with all the stuff you have seen, I actually think a lot of these you can handle now. I'm optimistic.
But you have all the drama of the movies, and it's like people don't understand that is also what he's done because they're so distracted by more recent things.
Yeah. So the point is like I think people were so dyed in the wool or just so set in their expectation of James Wan that at the second, and I do know for a lot of people who have complained about the movie who said that's what broke him for me is that all of a sudden this big reveal happens and then they're like, what the fuck? But then you got other people who on the flip side, and these are the people who I love, who said they were lukewarm on James Wan before, but then they get to that reveal, and then they see James Wan in a whole new way. And
I mean, I see him as a Leonardo da Vinci of horror. Like, he can do different types of horror.
A Renaissance man.
A Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Well, that is what Leonardo da Vinci was called.
He was.
He was into lots of stuff. But I do respect when a creator can come up with so many different solid ideas and clearly has a passion for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, he has been awarded for Malignant, and kind of by the people who matter.
Yes, actually, that's another fun thing because Malignant did win the Fangoria Chainsaw Award for Best Horror Film of the Year.
And it won the Dead Meat Awards too.
It did win a good amount. It didn't win Best of the Year, but it did take a couple good ones.
It took some solid ones.
It took some solid ones, and I do know it is a favorite of James and Chelsea. I do know that for a fact. But it's one that landed with exactly the right people because they saw it for the wonderfully bonkers original kind of movie it is. And actually, as much as we're giving credit to James Wan, I do want to give love to Ingrid Bisu, who also played... what's her name?
The medical...
Winnie. Winnie.
Yeah.
But she was the one who originally came to him with this idea. She just found out about this idea of teratoma. So to clarify... Gabriel is what they call a teratoma, basically a tumor that, in this case, he is a malformed twin, or a twin that did not separate in the womb from...
He is a Siamese twin.
A conjoined twin.
Version.
Yeah, extreme version of a conjoined twin, or in this case, where they call a teratoma, that has not properly separated in the womb. Well, James Wan became completely enamored with this concept that Ingrid Bisu gave them, so the two of them together came up with the idea of a sentient one that has who's a
sociopath.
Who's a sociopath, and he's like going, let's take it further. Let's give him electric powers, and let's.
Yeah, the thing is, they don't even explain why is it because he can't talk. Physically, so he can speak through electrical current. Why he can do that, we do not know.
No idea.
They don't explain it. But I'm fine with it. At this point, I'm like, this movie's so bonkers. Lego. I'm just. Why does he make her strong? I don't know.
We don't know.
He does.
Yeah, and
it's fun. It's dumb fun. I wouldn't say it's scary horror. There's some moments of a creepy nature. It's not a scary horror movie. It's a fun horror movie.
Yeah, and the bonkers ass ending doesn't just, the whole tone of the movie doesn't just shift. Everything leading up to this movie is actually I would even say Saw style melodrama.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even just the first time we meet Madison with her husband is so standard,
everyone is very extreme.
Yeah, I mean, you have Sydney, who's her sister, who's bubbly, perky.
Shows up when she is brought into the movie. She's wearing a princess dress,
a Cinderella knockoff,
because she works princess parties.
Yeah,
but she's wearing a freaking dress, and everything is extreme.
And even
the opening is insanely extreme. That is so melodramatic, but it's so funny.
I mean, even Kakoa Shaw's partner, Regina, is honestly, first time I saw her, I was like, is that Wanda Sykes? I mean, that's kind of
yeah, she's got a bit of a Wanda Sykes.
She's classic, sassy, comedic black partner.
They do a police sketch of Gabriel. It's fucking hilarious, and it's actually pretty accurate.
It's actually extremely
really
accurate.
Good, actually.
Very good sketch.
And she just looks and goes, So I put in
a bolo out on Sloth from the Goonies.
And I'm like, one, what movie were you watching?
That don't look like Sloth.
I'm like, that's not Sloth. Two, what?
Yeah,
like someone would actually say that, but it's so funny.
I mean, to me, I'm like going, dude, that looks more like the killer from one of the killers from Wrong Turn.
Yeah, I would say like it looks like one of the family members from Wrong Turn more than Sloth. Because I'm like, do you not see the long hair?
Like, be nice to Sloth.
Yeah,
Sloth's a sweetheart.
Sloth is a good guy, and he's got. Okay, the only thing him and Gabriel share is their eyes are a little.
Their eyes are a bit, their eyes.
But Gabriel does not look like Sloth.
Yeah,
at all. In any way.
Also, Gabriel kind of looks like an anime villain waiting to happen.
I would be shocked if there wasn't an anime
that
looks like Gabriel.
I would love to see Gabriel in anime form, like just a big old anime.
Also, I'm going to just sit there and make a question here. So, why is Gabriel getting a better name than... Because Madison's original name was Emily. Emily and Gabriel. Why would you name him Gabriel?
I don't get that.
Who the fuck named him that?
I mean,
the left hand of God? Like, really?
You know what? I think Gabriel named himself.
He's a baby. He's like, Gabriel's a good name.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
I mean, he could have.
Well, yeah.
But they would have had named when they were babies, and he would have just been this little monster baby.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what that would have looked like.
That would have been fun.
How would he look as a baby? Like, he looks messed up as a 12-year-old.
I mean, Belial looked kind of cute as a baby.
He looked cute.
He actually did look kind of cute.
I was like,
yeah, so I do imagine little baby Gabriel, looking like an old plate of lasagna,
I mean, he looks like plate of lasagna.
Plate of lasagna with
skin before
plate of lasagna with chicken legs sticking out of him.
Little Tyrannosaurus Rexors.
Yeah, all the dinosaurs feared the T-Rex. Our imaginations are running wild with this, which is exactly what we want. Because, yeah, it was no surprise to me that this movie would go this route, particularly because everything leading up to it was so stylized. And I think that was a good thing, using the giallo elements, because giallo is a very over-stylized aesthetic to begin with all the colors, the elaborate camera angles, the melodramatic, acting. All of that is just a nice little conditioner to get to this point. I mean, for me, it just worked so well because everything leading up to it was so odd and so bizarre to begin with, and everything was like, even when Sydney arrives at that hospital, it's done, we have this like big epic sweeping score, like she's going into a haunted house, like a freaking gothic ass haunted house. It's like, that is over the top and theatrical. So it's a little surprise to me that we're going to go into this big giant conjoined body twin bloody massacre type thing. It's like,
but that's why it's awesome.
It is. That is immensely so. All right, so yeah, you can kind of guess, you can understand why we love Malignant as much as everyone should. And I am happy to report I have seen other Gabriels. In fact, at DragonCon I did spot another Gabriel.
Oh, nice.
So there is some other love. There is some Gabriel love out there. Good yeah, and I think, and because this is Comfort Flicks, everyone else should have some love for it as well. So to top it all off, what is your top kill of Malignant?
I'll go with Scorpion. I don't want to say what it is because that's leave a little fun there. But let's just say Gabriel goes extra with Scorpion. Zoe Bell.
Yeah, Zoe Bell's character. Yeah, I think. I mean, I could just be have a blanket statement and just say the entire police precinct, but just because seeing Gabriel just flawlessly, swerve through this hail of bullets and madness,
like fucking parkouring, murder, dicing.
I could watch people do parkour all day just because of the flu.
Crazy.
It is nuts, especially the people who do it like off the top of a goddamn 20-story building onto like the next story of the building.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
It's like, you're crazy.
And Gabriel probably would have made a fortune on the parkour circuit.
Yeah, he really could have marketed himself, but whatevs.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he was thinking that far ahead.
Actually, what's funny we haven't even touched upon is the whole core theme. Actually, a lot of people, I think even Akilah Cooper pointed out the whole theme of body autonomy in this movie.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, what it seems to me... I don't know if this movie was that interested in the themes to want to explore it, but it's there.
It's there, but I don't think that was really the forefront thought process. I mean, you could argue that with any Siamese twin situation where who has control of the body, who has the right to the body, because you're having to share it with somebody else who's literally another person.
Yeah, and it ends with Madison finally, of course, finding out that Gabriel's been feeding off all of her fetuses. Cause
just to make her extra angry enough to take him out. She's been trying to get pregnant for like years and kept miscarrying. It turns out he was like siphoning the bodies, or the babies and the fetuses to regrow himself, which that makes no damn sense. That I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, if Gabriel's able to manipulate electricity and all that stuff,
whatever. But I feel like that's kind of put in there just to get her extra angry at him.
And it works because
she fucking takes
it ends with her finally learning how to take control of her own mind and imprisoning Gabriel in there, which of course leaves it as natural room for sequel baiting.
Oh yeah, they sequel bait that he's not totally locked away.
So given the fact we probably may never get a sequel to this, but so what if there were a sequel? Where do you think it would go? Because after a police onslaught and all the crazy circumstances,
I think Madison would go into hiding, like move and get far away. Like I think Krakoa would acknowledge. Like I think they would get basically like hidden away. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's actually trying to train herself to fight Gabriel. That's the thing, is a sequel would be really rough because it's like you already revealed the secret. How would you address? So I'm not sure.
See, personally,
that's why I don't write these things.
Personally, since we've gotten Basket Case 1, I think they should go Basket Case 2. They just got to go
find Annie Ruth.
Yeah, find the equivalent to Granny Ruth. Find that there's a whole other bunch of people with other mouth.
I don't want to see Gabriel fucking someone.
We don't have to go that far.
I mean, that does happen in Basket.
That does happen in Basket Case 2, and that's
but they're also separate.
But no, I think what would be kind of cool is the idea that. No, I think they should go so crazy where the military find out about the onslaught, want Gabriel, but Krakoa puts her in hiding. They all volunteer to put her in hiding because that's probably a safer place to be. But then it would just be so fucking funny that it becomes like a point where Madison and Gabriel become like fugitives, and
they have to like work together.
They have to work together to like. It would be so
tropey. I kind of, what? I think the movie's just good. Leave it alone, because in the end. It's magical, and you'll never get that magic again, because that reveals really kind of where the crux of it goes. And
Okay, fair enough. So, all right. So, yeah, that is Malignant. And to wrap it all up, we do tend to talk about what we've seen recently. And actually, I've shown you a couple of new things recently. I showed you Salem's Lot and Ghost Watch. So what do you think of those?
Salem's Lot was fine. I feel like it just kind of ended really quickly.
Kind of.
I mean, I feel like they took more time taking down the familiar than they did not Peter.
Yeah, Barlow. Barlow was his name.
Like, Barlow looked cool, but like I feel like they just took him out too quickly. Yeah. And it just but I always kind of know Stephen King stories kind of do that. They kind of just end really quickly.
Kind of do.
It was fine. I felt like there was way too many characters that would work in a book. I felt like it could have been streamlined, but it was a television movie, so what do you expect? It was fine.
Ghost Watch.
Ghost Watch was... I liked how straight they played it, and I could totally see why people would have thought it was real. I personally like the more campiness of the...
Late Night with the Devil? Or the WNUF Halloween special.
I like the campiness of that, and that's less scary, more fun. Ghost Watch is actually terrifying, because they play it so straight, and it's so believable and very simply done. Mm-hmm. I do say it gets a little confusing at the end, like what is actually, is it a demon? Is it this crazy guy? Is it the woman before? Like, I got a little confused as to what is the being. Or is it like a fucking hellmouth where there was a demon that picked her and then they went after this guy, now it's going through the television. It got a little confusing at that point, and it does just suddenly end, so you don't get really any resolution.
I think that's in the case of what they were doing and simulating it as if it was real, because in real life you wouldn't get any kind of plot clarifications at the tail end anyway.
I get that. It's just I know it's not real, so it's just the way I'm feeling. Whereas, like, Late Night with the Devil did give you an ending. It's very similar to that, except that's clearly a movie.
Yeah, very clearly.
But,
yeah, so that's what I did. So, yeah, you wanted to know about The Substance. Oh, I'm going to tell you about The Substance. Oh, Jesus Christ, that movie is fucking amazing. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. Let me put it to you like this, everybody. For months, I already had another film that was my number one. I'm willing to spoil it before my year-end wrap-up. I'm flat out going to tell you, unless something really fucking mind-shredding comes out within the next 3 months, The Substance.
Terrifier 3?
We'll see. I've heard it's great, but I don't know if it's going to come anywhere near the awe-striking madness of The Substance. Coralie Farge has made something thoroughly incredible. I don't want to get into too many details because actually after I showed it to our friends Kat and Logan, they want to do a podcast about it, so we're going to get in depth with that at some point soon. But another good one I talked about earlier, Oddity, is now currently on Shudder, and it is creepy as fuck. Strongly recommend it, especially for your Halloween viewing. So, and also caught the new Halle Berry movie Never Let Go. That was way better than expected. I actually would say it's the best movie of its kind since Bill Paxton's Frailty. So do with that comparison what you will, but that one is actually worth a damn. So The Substance, Never Let Go, check those out. And stay tuned. We actually are going to delve into a franchise for our next one. One that we actually think has aged exponentially better within the past 20 years since its release. So with that, enjoy. Come with us, come see us next week, and in the meantime, if you want to delve deep into the dark bowels of human imagination, ask yourself the simple question, what's in the podcast? Thank you for joining us on this edition of What's in the Podcast. If you find yourself hungry for more deep cuts into the gloriously morbid and macabre, you can also find us on TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. You can also follow us on Instagram at Narcotic Casserole 25. Also on Twitter. Yes, Twitter. Elon can suck it. At Narcotic Casser 1. NARCOTICCASSER 1. Follow us if you dare.
He even was trying to convince
hi, Monkey.
his sister, to sorry, the cat.
That was our cat.